Let's continue working with landscape photos, but what I want you to see is how Luminar AI can improve the composition of an image. Sometimes there might be a crooked element, and even if you shoot on a tripod and use your built-in camera level, it could still be off by a couple of degrees. Let's take a look here and explore this landscape out in the Sedona Desert. What I want to do here is get a level landscape. So I'll go into Edit and select Composition AI. With one click, it analyzes the scene and finds a straight horizon. It used a combination here of looking at the verticals and looking at the mountain edge and found the correct horizon. It was not thrown off by the road being at an angle or shooting at an angle on the building. We can also affect the vertical perspective to get a corrected vertical line and click Composition AI to check for a recommended crop. This is really flexible. Now you are free to, of course, change this or modify the crop to your taste, but it's just meant as a good suggestion to encourage you to explore new compositions. Let's go ahead and take advantage of Enhance. I'm just going to bring out that exposure. Now the image is looking pretty good, but I want to finesse the color. Let's do this quickly. One thing I like is the ability under Creative to use Mood. You'll find a nice collection of color styles that you can roll through and audition. These are going to give it a color grade very quickly. I like Dallas here, and I'm just going to play with the amount of contrast and the strength of that effect. Additionally, let's take advantage of Mystical to get a softening and a gentle glow. It doesn't defocus the image, but it does a nice job of adding a filmic glow. Speaking of film, let's just finish that off with a little vignette. And we'll give that a gentle softness. And I can even choose my subject so the vignette isn't perfectly centered. Now it's pulling your eye into that old building on the side of the road. Let's go with a less stylized shot, one that's a bit more natural, and I'll show you how this can work as well. Let's put those things together. We'll start with Composition AI to get a good recommended crop. I like that. I'm just going to center the subject a little bit more. Level the horizon. Take advantage of light, and you can go ahead here and adjust the smart contrast to even out the contrast in the scene. Enhance to get the perfect exposure, and even enhance the sky that's there. If you want to change that sky, you could do that too. From the creative category, we could change the time of day and go to a nice dramatic sunset. And what's great here is after you layer that in, under the advanced settings, you can defocus the sky. So if it's meant to be out of focus like this one is, do so. And then just put a nice blend on the horizon for a smooth transition. That looks good. I'll just darken that sky down a little bit and put a little bit of atmospheric haze in to match that background. Now what we could do is continue to finesse. A little bit of structure brings out the details in the scene. And so now we went from afternoon to evening. And if you change your mind, everything is still live, so it's very easy to finesse and tweak. This is going to give you that control. And remember, things like super contrast are fantastic for recovering details in the highlights and the shadows to give you a good overall exposure. And you can bring that to life. If you need to, color harmony is great so that you can go after, in this case, I cooled down the hot areas to get a little bit of a richer green. But I can warm up the sky. And this just gives you the equivalent of split toning, but instead of shadows and highlights, it's going after warms and cools. So all of these are very, very flexible. And as you see, you can continue to adjust and easily go back through the process. If you feel like the shot itself needs a little bit down, you could tweak it with the manual tools. But for the most part, it's the AI that you want to stick with because it really saves you time. All right, let's try one more landscape shot. And you're going to see those AI tools come to life. The ability here to use composition, quickly get a good frame, and a level horizon. Accent to bring out the right balance of exposure. Sky enhancer to target the sky. structure for details, and the details enhancer, so we can zoom in and finesse the small and medium and large details separately so we get the type of sharpness that we want. And of course, there is a traditional sharpen filter as well. This just lets you bring an image to life, and you see how quickly we evened out the scene.